everybody, welcome back on Lit Up with Annie. This is the 5th session of the General Prologue, the Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer. In this session, we are going to talk about Shipman, the physician and wife of Bath. If you have reached this session, I would like to congratulate you because you are halfway there, more than halfway. So you will be completing the reading of more than half of the book of the General Prologue. Let's quickly jump into it. Shipman. A shipman was there, wending far from by west. For aught I woot, he was of Dartmouth. He rode upon a round sea as he knew it, in a gown of falding to the knee. So now Chaucer starts talking about the shipman, and he says that there was a shipman, probably he came from the west, and he says that for all I know, he probably came from Dartmouth. He rode upon a round sea as he knew it. As he knew, he rode upon that cart horse in a gown of falding to the knee, and he wore a gown. It was made of woolen cloth, which reached his knee, to the knee. A dagger hanging on a lice had he, about his neck, under his arm adown. So there was a dagger which was hanging on this. He had a cord which was hanging around from his neck, then from underarm till down. From that, a dagger was hanging. The hot summer had made his hue all brown. The hot summer, because of the hot summer, he was all tanned. So he had become brown. And certainly he was a good fellow. Full many a draught of wine had he yet drawn. Certainly he was a good fellow. He was a good companion to be with. Full many a draught of wine had he yet drawn from Borduke's ward while the chapmen sleep. He was a shipman. So what he did was, when the trader was sleeping, wine uthali. Full many a draught of wine he took from that trader. Of nice conscience took he no keep. He had no concern about good conscience. हम लगता कि यार उठा ले ऐसे, मतलब how can you pick up things of other people? But he did that. He picked up when the trader was sleeping. If that he fought and had the higher hand, by water he sent them home to every land. If that in the water, if he had a fight and he was the upper hand in the fight, if there were prisoners and all, he would just send them back. He wouldn't care much. He would send them home to every land. But of his craft to reckon well his tides, his streams, and his dongers him besides, his Harbew and his moon, his lord manage, there was no one such from Hull to Carthage. Now Chaucer starts speaking about his skills. So if you have to talk about his skill about tides, about his currents, about the perils near at hand, his harbours, positions of the moon, his navigations, nobody was equal to him from Hull to Carthage till Spain. Hardy he was and wise to undertake. He was bold and he was prudent in his undertakings. With many a tempest had his beard been shake. This had been a question also once. Because he was a shipman, there would have been tempests, tufan aaye honge, bahut sare. In the tempests, his beard had all been shaken. So his beard was like that, a different shape. He knew all the havens as they were from Gotland to the Cape of Finisterre. So he was good with his knowledge, geography. He knew all the places, all the havens from Gotland to the Cape of Finisterre. And every crike in Britain and in Spain. He also knew every inlet in Brittany and in Spain. His barge yclept was the Magdalene. The ship that he was in, it was called Maudelaine. Please remember the name. What was his ship called? Maudelaine. So this was about Shipman. Next is the physician. With us there was a doctor of physique, in all this world, nay was there no one like him like. Have you noticed one thing, that in the description of every character, at least once Chaucer has written this? In this place, in this town, in this world, no one like him. To speak of physic and of surgery, for he was grounded in astronomy. So a physician was there with them and nobody like him. He spoke of physics and of surgery very well, and he was grounded in astronomy. He also had knowledge of astronomy. He kept his patient a full great deal in hours by his magique naturelle. So he would talk to his patients specifically in some hours, जो astronomically right hours होते थे, in those hours. Well knew he fortunen the ascendant of his images for his patient. He also knew very well, the stars and all that, the astronomical study जो होती है पूरी. He knew all of that very well. He knew how to calculate the planetary positions of his images for his patient, and what kind of talismans to be given to his patients. He knew that, astronomical talismans for his patients. He knew the cause of every malady, were it of hot or cold or moist or dry, and what they engendered and of what humor. He knew about every malady. Whoever patient would come to him, again there's a mention of these humors: hot, cold, moist, dry. If there was an imbalance in the body of any humor, he would know how to treat them. He knew the cause of every malady. He was a very perfect practitioner. He was a very perfect practitioner. The cause he known, and of harm the rook, anon he gave the sick man his wound. He knew the cause and he knew what to give the sick man, the patient. Full ready had he his apothecaries. He also had the apothecaries ready with him. For example, if we look at these times, if we go to a clinic or we go to a hospital, there is a pharmacy which is linked with the hospital or with the particular doctor. They have these tie-ups, right? Each one profits from each. पहले भी ऐसा ही था. He also had the apothecaries ready to send him drugs and his lechuries, who would send the medicines, the drugs to him, and who would send these lectuaries. What are lectuaries? Lectuaries are it's a medical mix. Honey डालते हैं उसमें और मतलब एक घोल सा होता है. So they would send him these drugs and these lectuaries. For each of them made other for the win. The apothecaries and the doctor would profit from each other. Their friendship was not new to begin. It was not a very recent friendship. It was old one. Well knew he the old. Now Chaucer has given all names of these for example, the first name that we have is of Aesculapius, the god of medicine, Greek god of medicine. Similarly, in Pura, ऊपर से लेके नीचे तक, all these names are given the people who were related with medicine, the art of medicine. I'll read out the names. First is Aesculapius. I'm reading, you pay attention from here. And Dioscorides, and also Rufus, old Hippocrates, Halley and Galen, Serapion, Rhazes and Avicenna, Avorus, John of Damascus and Constantine, Bernard and Gaddiston and Gilbertus. All of these names he gave, that he very well knew all of these people, the philosophies of these people, or he'd learned from these best of best. Of his diet, measurable was he. Now it starts talking about the kind of diet a physician would take. He was very measurable, whatever he would eat, for it was no superfluid, but of great nourishing and digestible. He wouldn't eat anything like that. Whatever he would eat was very nutritious and digestible. His study was but little on the Bible. He was not a reader of Bible. He had not studied Bible a lot. In sanguine and in purse he clad was he. What was he wearing? Red, sanguine, red and bluish clothes, lined with taffeta and with sendal. They were lined with taffeta, the cloth, and with silk. And yet he was but easy of dispense. He wouldn't spend a lot of money. He kept that he won in pestilence. He even, had saved. He had kept that he had earned during the plague. For gold in physic is a cordial, therefore he loveth gold in special. So gold has a special place in physics. It's an important element. Therefore he loved gold. It was very special for him, gold. That was about the physician. Next is the wife of Bath. Very interesting character. A good wife was there of beside Bath, but she was some dale deaf, and that was scathe. There was a wife of Bath. She'd come from Bath. She was a little deaf, and that was something sad. Of cloth making she had such a haunt, she passed them of Ypres and of Gaunt. She knew, she had this art of cloth making, and she even surpassed the people of Ypres and of Ghent. That's the speciality of the people, but she had a lot of talent in cloth making. In all the parishes, wife, nay was there no one that with the offering before her should gone. There was nobody who would go to offer prayers before her. And if there did, certain so Ruth was she that she was out of all charity. If by chance there was somebody else who would go before her to offer prayers, she was all out of charity. She was very angry. Her kerchiefs full fine were of ground. I dost swear they weighed 10 pounds. The kerchiefs that she had were nice, and Chaucer says that I bet they were 10 pounds that on a Sunday were upon her head. The head covering that she wore on a Sunday when she went for her prayer offering, it was probably 10 pounds. That heavy it was. So all the kerchiefs that she had, they were of fine ground. They were of fine texture. Her horse wherein of fine scarlet reed, full sterile ye tied, and shoes full moist and new. Hossein, the stockings that she was wearing, it was of red color, fine scarlet red, full sterile ye tied, very nicely tied, laced, and shoes full moist and new. Even the shoes that she was wearing were fine, new like. Bold was her face and fair and red of hue. She had a bold face and it was fair. Some hue, some reddish hue was there. She was a worthy woman all her life. She had been a very worthy woman. Husbands at church door she had 5, without other company in youth, but thereof needeth not to speak as knoweth. She had married 5 times. And this next line is very funny. Without other company in youth, she might have had other boyfriends also in the youth. But then the narrator says, but there's no need of talking about that right now. And thrice had she been at Jerusalem. So the wife of Bath had roamed, had a lot of experience. She had 5 husbands. Then she had been to Jerusalem 3 times. She had passed many strange streams. She had gone to Rome, Boulogne, in Galice at St. James, and at Cologne. She knew much wandering, by the way. She knew about these places a lot. She had gone because she had wandered a lot in these places. Gap-toothed was she, soothly for to say, so she had gap in her teeth. Upon an ampler easily she sat. She sat very nicely, very easily on the horse. Wimpled well, and on her head a hat. Wimple, she covered her head. That we talked about wimple before also when we talked about prioress. Head covering, all covering. And sorry. She wore a hat on her head as broad as is a buckler or a targe. It was like a big hat, like a shield. A foot mantle about her hips large, and on her feet a pair of spurs sharp. So she wore this mantle, she wore a dress which would cover her large hips, and she had a pair of shoes, footwear that were also sharp. In fellowship, she knew she laugh and carp. When she was in company, she knew how to talk. She would laugh and talk a lot. Of remedies of love, she knew perchance, because she had had 5 husbands. She knew how to give love advice, for she knew of that the art of old dance. It was like she had had a lot of experience, so it was like an art of dance for her. She knew the old dance. Old dance here is tricks of the trade of that art. So this is about wife of Bath. So we have discussed Shipman, we have discussed physician and wife of Bath in this session. Okay, so in the next session we will move on to the next characters. Hope you liked the video. I am hoping that you've understood it, and also hoping that you are watching all of these sessions. These are small sessions, and what you get in return is something big. You'll be able to complete the entire book. You will feel proud about it, I'm sure, once you complete it. So keep learning, keep watching these sessions. I will see you in the next one. Thank you, and have a good day.